I'm Maria Menounos, and you're tuned in to AfterBuzz TV, the ESPN of TV talk. Now, let the buzz begin.
Goddess Terpsichore, mother of dance, we offer you muses, enchant them with trance. Let body and movement and spirit romance your powers to our coven, dark magics enhance.
Is that a poem?
That was actually a spell used by the Cheerleaders coven to regain power for the School of Night. Mm-hmm. You know, that's actually how that works, because cheerleaders are just another form of a witch's coven.
It makes so much sense now.
It does make sense, but it was definitely fun. If nothing else, Netflix's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 3, Episode 7, Chapter 27, The Judas Kiss. We are talking all of it, and by we, I don't just mean me. I'm joined by the Queen of the Damned V.
Hello. Ooh, nice rhyme. I dig it.
They're not rhymes, they're spells. Do you understand they are spells?
It's taken me a while to catch on.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Oh my gosh, and if you don't know me, then you don't know Sabrina. I am Tehran, the Dark Lord himself, as we are talking all things Netflix's Chilling Adventures of Sabrina, Season 3, Episode 7, Chapter 27, The Judas Kiss. We are binge watching with you. So stay tuned for more and more. We're breaking down this episode as thus. Blackwood's alliance, Sabrina's brother, ? What is that all about? Roz's vision. Roz sees because Roz has sight beyond sight. Metatet Edward, Cheerleaders coven, Daddy's home. And you know who I'm talking about. That's right, Blackwood's back, baby. Agatha snaps. Vlad the Impaler, the Green Man blossoms. The Weird Sisters are weirder than ever. All hail King Caliban. Our special segment, The Dark Design, where we take elements of the show and apply them to actual mythological literary substance for all of you and make the connections between the comic book, the show, and real life. And of course, we have amazing predictions. V over there practically has a crystal ball.
Everything I have said has kind of come true.
Kind of. It's kind of. That's basically all we can go with on this. Because if there was one thing about this episode, we have no idea what's going on.
Oh my gosh.
Zero.
No.
This was an extremely exciting episode, and I'd love to hear your overall thoughts, Veronica.
Yeah, so I thought it was a great episode, but I have to admit it was also a mess. And I say mess coming from a place of curiosity, because this was kind of the episode that I think the whole season has built to, where everyone's dying. You know, Zelda's dead, ? Hilda's dead, ? The Weird Sisters are dead, ? Harvey's kind of dead, ? Like, so much is happening and so much is going wrong that in my mind, I'm thinking, okay, this was a really big episode, but how are we going to wrap up this season when so much destruction, I guess, has already been done? And I'm just kind of wondering where they're going to go with this. I enjoyed it. I'm just curious now at this point. I'm wondering, is some crystal ball, going to magically make everything go away?
No crystal ball.
So much has happened.
But we do, however, have a time warping egg ball that's in an aquarium. So
that's what I meant.
My prediction is obviously going to be the go back in time and fix thing. We've seen that happen. This is a trope that's common in magical stories. We actually saw a very similar thing in Harry Potter when Hermione had the time necklace and was able to go back. And it's unfortunate because this was such an amazing episode that if all the elements of this episode are undone, then it becomes this was just a dream sequence, so it has no actual repercussions. Now, I don't know how you can undo all the damage that has been done in an interesting and new way. I will say that everything that happened in this episode, if this was the season finale, this would have been badass. I mean,
really?
When it says expect the unexpected, this was a bet you didn't see that coming episode. Mm-mm. Everyone died. And there was no how so?
I disagree, because I get what you're saying in that, we definitely didn't see this coming. But to me, unless this was like a series finale, I wouldn't understand why they made half the choices that they did. I understand that, when certain characters, for writing purposes, it is time for them to, pass on. But almost everyone just kind of...
Yes, and that's the whole thing. That's what makes it amazing, is because people die. We see this commonly in shows where we love characters so much, we never want to see them move on. I understand.
Yeah.
However, that might not be the direction of the show. A similar thing happened with Game of Thrones in the last season where nobody liked the ending. That's simply because no one liked the show ending. No one wanted the show to end. Everyone wanted it to continue. However, that is not how things always happen, especially in a story. Not everything wraps up, ties up very nicely. That happens in fairy tales. Sabrina is anything but a fairy tale. At this point, it's become a nightmare. We're in hell. We are seeing spirits. We are seeing demons. We are seeing pagans. We are seeing everything but heaven. There's nothing fairy tale-like about this episode and specifically this season of Sabrina. It has done everything on its own accord with its own rules. It's not asking you, the audience, what you think should happen, because what we thought should happen is that this entire season should be dedicated to Sabrina and the Fright Club figuring out how to get into hell to save Nicholas. That happened episode 1. So when we're at episode 7, which is one away from the season finale, this is one of those episodes where everything that could go wrong does go wrong. Everything is in chaos. Everything is in shambles. How does Sabrina come back from this? Clearly, in my opinion, the time egg has to do something. I just don't want it to wrap up nicely. That would be doing it a disservice.
I understand. I understand completely where you're coming from, Tehran. I am not opposed to the idea of this season kind of having some loose ends, or kind of
that's what season finale.
Exactly.
That's what season finale and cliffhangers are.
Or doing the unexpected, or doing something that maybe the audience won't like. I'm not opposed to that. I just think
it was sloppy.
In season 3, I just think in season 3, episode 7, I think it just went overboard. I don't know if I am ready for it at the current place the story is. I'm not opposed to it in the future when the story gets there, but right now I don't think the story calls for it.
And that's why, to me, it was amazing, because they did not do it to your liking or on your time. They didn't comfort you. They didn't buffer the shock. It was done. Deal with it. And that's why. And when we're talking about deal with it and it's done, let's talk about Blackwood's alliance. Blackwood and
the pagans?
No, Blackwood.
And Lucifer?
Blackwood starts off with an alliance going off with Lilith. So that's the first one. And then Blackwood leads into one with the pagans. And we're seeing Blackwood is just on a quest of vengeance. So Blackwood's alliance with Lilith is one where basically, if this is what we are to infer, Blackwood and Lilith put Lucifer to sleep. Blackwood, using Lucifer's body, impregnated Lilith.
Yeah.
In carnal action.
Yeah. Well, let me ask you this first. Do you believe what she's saying?
Yes.
You do?
I do. Lucifer does.
I'm almost wondering if that's something that he can sense. Because at first I didn't believe it. I thought that was such a scam to, try and have her feel like she's saving herself, because right now she's in a lot of trouble, having to deal with the wrath of Lucifer. So I thought it was a joke to try and, give her some extra time. Now, it very well could be real. And if it is real, it just, again, it has me curious of how does Blackwood have the power to kind of do something like that over Lucifer? Like, basically, how is he more powerful than Lucifer, who we are told is supposed to be almighty?
He wasn't more powerful than Lucifer. In the previous episode, Lucifer was put to sleep using a spell in order to separate them, and Blackwood was still in possession of Lucifer's body, therefore impregnating Lilith and then being separated. And that was the deal that they made, as we saw the end of last episode going into this one. Mm-hmm. So do I believe Lilith? Yes, I do. Because Lucifer does. Lucifer senses, and Lucifer, while he has been tricked, he's been manipulated, but he's not tricked. There's a difference. And so he uses his powers to sense that Lilith is with child and understands that child is his. Also, still hell-bent, pardon the pun, on Sabrina. He's still hell-bent on Sabrina, but he's not going to execute Lilith, and specifically tells Lilith it's simply a stay of execution and punishment. It is not a reprieve. So I do believe that Lilith is with child, and Lilith has a plan.
I'm really curious to see what a witch pregnancy is like.
Is
it expedited? Is it drawn out? I'm just curious. on how. I'm just curious if it's supposed to be different or not.
If I remember correctly, I think it's longer. I think it's 13 months, and a child is born. But I think that's something that was expressed when Blackwood's wife was pregnant with the twins. So this is the hellspawn. Anything can be possible. This child could be born and then a week later be fully grown. This is Lucifer's child with Lilith, not with a mortal, as in Sabrina's birth. This is Lucifer's child with another, or at least the first witch. So this could be a different one, but there's definitely an alliance that's been brewed. Blackwood, I don't understand why Lucifer is not after Blackwood. They have an alliance as well.
They do. So you are saying you don't understand why he is after Blackwood in terms of...
He's not after Blackwood.
But in terms of what?
As in killing Blackwood, as in destroying Blackwood. Blackwood didn't listen to him. Blackwood had forsaken him. Blackwood, as he says, is basically an idiot. He dislikes Blackwood. He does not think of him as worthy. Blackwood is a catalyst for a lot of the events that is going on. He's bumbled things up. I feel like Satan should also be after Blackwood with the same, or at least some type of propensity as he is after Lilith and the rest of everyone else.
You make a good point. He has done a lot of deceiving, and it only makes sense that he would want to go after Blackwood for, basically all the lies that have been spread. But I don't know. I just, maybe he just thinks it's not a big deal currently because of what he is dealing with Sabrina and, the unholy regalia. Maybe he just thinks it's not a big deal. Or maybe he thinks in his mind Blackwood is not a worthy adversary. And he's like, I can deal with him later. He's not a big deal right now. I can deal with him at any time.
I wouldn't underestimate Blackwood. Blackwood clearly has a control of the dark arts that is second to none. He clearly understands magics that are not privy to the average witch or warlock.
I wouldn't count him out either, but Lucifer just has a pride about him that's like, I can take on anyone.
Well, I wonder what's going to happen with Blackwood ultimately, because we do see Blackwood's back, and he is definitely going on a killing spree where he goes through and kills basically a lot of the spellmans, goes after and uses Agatha to do so. Agatha, who after her encounter with the pagans has not been in a sane space.
Yeah, that was surprising, because that was kind of the first instance where we saw, oh my gosh, okay, so someone's dying. And this was Dorcas, yeah, and this was kind of the lead up, because obviously when you think characters are going to die off, you kind of tend to go from the least significant to the most significant, basically trying to, test the waters and see how it goes. So this was very surprising to me, because I was like, oh my gosh, I didn't think that they were going to kill off the Weird Sisters. But it also is just sad because she is still not in her right mind. And it's almost like they kind of forgot about her because they helped Dorcas. Granted, it's because they had Cersei, who was the direct contact for Dorcas's curse, essentially. But it's still sad because I feel like they kind of forgot about Agatha. Granted, they have a lot of other things to worry about.
And Agatha, they don't actually know what's wrong with Agatha. They specifically knew what was wrong with Dorcas, but it doesn't matter anyway. Dorcas got killed.
Yeah.
We also see Zelda got shot and Wardwell bullet. And we see Dr. C is dead. I mean, just a lot of people.
Do you really think Dr. C is dead, though? I know that's what Hilda said, but...
I saw bucket of blood with the first guy. We didn't see anything specifically with Dr. C. However, as I stated, I do believe we're going to get a time warp. They introduced us to the concept of the time loop with Pontius Pilate, and so I'm pretty sure that we're going to get a time loop and things are going to go back to normal. And I wonder how they do it, simply because it's a disjustice to do that. It's simply, I dislike everything you just saw wasn't really what you just saw. It doesn't matter. I hate those, because to me that becomes a throwaway episode. And it's been done so often. So I wonder how they're going to handle it in a creative manner, because we do, as I said, have that time warp egg handy.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'm wondering if it's almost, they will still there will still be some type of repercussion. Like, not everything will be completely fixed. There will still be some type of repercussion, which I think would maybe have that balance.
Sure. I mean, whenever you mess with time, there's always going to be a paradox. There's always, the concept is whenever you do a time thing, which is very Back to the Future, it's just something that's been done. It's very Doctor Who. Anytime you do one of those things, you create a paradox, and therefore, if you don't do it right, which most people don't because time doesn't make sense, then there is going to be some type of repercussion, especially if you don't tie up all the loose ends, which Sabrina is not great at doing.
Not at all.
So, but my thing is, I still don't want that I still don't want it to be fixed. I do hope, I hate that Agatha and Dorcas are gone. Like,
And
I
Prudence.
love Agatha. I love Dorcas. I love Prudence. You killed all three of them. I love Zelda. I love Hilda. You've killed both of them per se. Basically, one is a spider.
I mean, that was a trip because it's like Zelda kind of dead in limbo. You don't necessarily know if she's coming back or not. She comes back at the very end and then she dies again, ? Because we still don't know what.
Oh, it looked like she died.
Well, it looked like she died, but will she remain dead is what I'm saying.
Well, sure, but once again, we're not at that episode yet. So
Yes.
right now she's dead.
Yes.
She's dead. I don't know what's going to happen in episode 8, the series finale, but I do know that right now she's dead and Hilda is dead.
Yes.
And they were in limbo and Zelda made it back, but Hilda did not. So, and then was immediately killed by Blackwood. Blackwood literally killed everybody. So anything that happens in the next one is, I'm predicting a time thing, but may not happen. We didn't know that everyone was going to die. So,
true.
and if it did, then what? What could you say? Why did this happen? It happens. It could even be the basis for the entire season 4 is how to figure and fix that out. I mean, we do know we most likely, as far as slated, we are getting a next season. So there has to be a reason for season 4. Clearly, saving Nicholas is not it. No. That's it. I'm actually over Nicholas. Nicholas's brooding is become a constant detracting factor. Get over it, Nicholas. Like, move up, man up.
Yeah. I'll admit, I enjoyed them in the beginning of the season. Their kind of relationship taking front and center did get a little tiresome. And now we're at the point where, Sabrina has a lot more to worry about and she doesn't need Nicholas's side chatter, like his side sassy comments.
Passive aggressive Nick is actually just extremely unattractive.
Yes.
And it's making me like Caliban even more, even though Caliban is a piece of S.
I still don't care enough about Caliban as a character. And I've said this before, I think it's just his storyline, trying to take over hell and the unholy regalia is, kind of being used to tie in maybe how they are going to fix this problem, but it hasn't gotten enough attention, in my opinion. So for me, unfortunately, I still don't care enough about Caliban.
Well, you should care about the unholy regalia because Judas's silver coins were not easy to get and were even easier for Caliban to do so because, once again, the glamour came in handy. Betray someone you love with a kiss, and yet Sabrina was unable to do so.
No, it's because she cares too much about Harvey and Roz. It's so much that she cares about her friend Roz. And, when I first saw this kind of challenge come her way, I was like, she's probably going to try and do it just, and explain, oh, this is a witch thing. It needs to happen. But once she saw how much pain Harvey was in, she couldn't do it. And it also kind of makes me wonder if she has feelings with him, if that spell ever did work. But I think it's just tough. She just didn't want to hurt her friend. She couldn't do it.
Well, the one friend that I would never hurt is all of you at home. We appreciate you and your comments below. Please let us know what you think. Are you on board with what's going on? What are your opinions? A lot of you have so much insight and we utilize and love to hear what you have to say. If you're listening to us on iTunes, give us that 5-star rating we so greatly deserve. We appreciate you. Share, spread the word, subscribe, like, tell your friends. We're all part of this family. You are, if not as much, more so a part of this panel as all of us here. Thank you for making us the ESPN of TV talk. That's right. And if you don't know, that's Ryan in the booth letting his presence be known.
Hey,
Ryan,
Hey,
we're done.
Ryan.
We're done talking. Thank you, Ryan. So we do get a couple things. We get the Limbo. We meet Meditate Edward. Edward is the spirit animal in this Limbo, especially for Zelda, and tells Zelda what she has to do to fix all of this, basically. And then she dies. But doesn't even tell her, shows her, leads her in the direction.
Yeah. Well, so yeah, at the end of it, she basically knows how to kind of fix it. But I also thought it was a very interesting storyline where Zelda, I think, has always, and we've definitely saw this season with Zelda and Hilda, Zelda has always lived her life according to what she thinks is supposed to be required of her, or what's required of her. You know, she's always been a very, diligent student. She's always, been true to, her church and her coven. And this whole sequence was basically Edward trying to guide her into, you know what? Choose your own path. Don't choose the path that someone chooses for you. You know, she's always kind of been in someone else's shadow, and especially once she entered the academy with Father Blackwood, she was definitely always in his shadow. And even at the beginning of this season, when she tried to reestablish the academy, people still didn't take her seriously. So this was a very good moment for Zelda to, establish her own path, see where she wants to go with the rest of her life. And in turn, she was also able to probably, get this newfound insight and figure out how to save everyone.
And then she died. So she died.
She did.
Killed.
I'm not arguing with you. She did.
She's killed. Like they slaughtered. So we do get Edward. I wanted, I feel like we've seen Edward a couple times, but I feel like for some reason Edward's presence wasn't as strong in this one. It was a lot softer. It didn't seem as powerful as before. There was a quiet power to Edward. Maybe it was because of the way it was shot.
Do you think it's supposed to be, maybe that's kind of the vibe that the episode was going for, because he was supposed to be this meditate that, is kind of a spiritual guide. So maybe this calm, kind of easygoing.
No, I just didn't like it. I didn't like the filter. I didn't like the
Okay.
It could have been a little darker. I felt like they made it very dream-like, which I understand why. However, I felt like it could have been more powerful. Edward should be powerful the way I see Lucifer is powerful. And they've done such an amazing job with Blackwood this season and showing his degradation and his definite psychosis and his vengeance and his spirit that they should have done something with Edward similar. But seeing Edward was very cool. I liked seeing Edward. I wish we'd also seen Sabrina's mom be there, maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe there for Hilda. Hilda didn't seem like she was coming back. Hilda
She
seemed at home.
She seemed at
ease.
home. She seemed at ease, just like you're saying.
And who knows? Lucy Davis has a lot of projects coming up, so it would be a sad loss, but possible that we lose Lucy Davis from Sabrina, which would give Zelda a very different dynamic. Maybe she would come back in like a mirror friend or something like that, but I don't know. It would be horrible to lose her. It was also fun to see the cheerleaders be a coven, because that's what cheerleaders are. They're a witch coven, and
we
they
got another
are brought to a
song.
private show. And oh, Mickey, you're so fine. You're so fine.
The most typical
You
cheerleading
blow my
song.
mind. Hey, Mickey.
Hey, Mickey.
So you just didn't want to clap because now the coven has no powers, because they're dancing.
It's all my fault.
Their dancing and movement was what led to the witch coven getting their power back from from goddess Terpsichore, who is the mother of dance.
Yeah. I mean, it was an interesting way of thinking. I wouldn't have necessarily thought to kind of utilize the cheer squad to regain the energy of the coven. But then again, this show kind of takes a lot of twists and turns that I don't expect. So I'm not necessarily always one step ahead thinking, oh yeah, that totally makes sense. So it was a pleasant surprise. But once again, it was one of those kind of awkward moments where Sabrina is asking her human friends, or at least her human friend in this case, Roz, to help her. And she's basically saying, yeah, it's life or death. You can help me or you can't. But if you don't help me, it's life or death. And basically
And we have to get the cheerleaders,
Yeah.
and they bring them to the academy, which is also putting their lives in danger, which
Yeah.
does actually put their lives in danger actually towards the end. So but I thought it was fun using the kinetic energy, and it's good to bring that high school story back in. Now we're pushing the levels of suspension of disbelief, obviously, because if this could have been the answer, why didn't we think of this so long ago? Or basically at this point, why did they ever worship the Dark Lord? They could have literally worshipped tables at this point. Everything else has its own god or powers or power source. So it just, to me, once again, diminishes the power of the Dark Lord. I feel like Lucifer should have more power, more say. But I understand they needed a way to regain their power. It was fun. It was a cute song. It was fun to watch. And then Sabrina sat down and enjoyed the rulings of getting the power back. And now we also see in the Roz field, we see Roz has a vision as she's with Harvey, and it's a vision of Harvey and Sabrina.
How awkward for her.
How awkward. She's dating her best friend's ex. It should have always been like this.
I feel at this point they've established like it's okay.
I don't.
Between Sabrina and Roz.
There's nothing they can do to establish that this is okay. So Roz seeing this vision, to me, was her just dues. And Harvey is trying so hard to convince himself that he's in love with Roz.
I like that you say that.
No way, no reason he has to keep saying, I love you so much, Roz. It's only you. Like, relax, bro.
No, I like that you say convince himself, because I think that's what Harvey is definitely trying to do right now. I think, but I will also say, I think Harvey in his mind legitimately does care and love Roz. I think he's just completely unaware that he still does have lingering feelings for Sabrina.
Yeah. We also, Bloody Agatha was extremely hot. I love you, Agatha. We get Vlad the Impaler, and that's the
oldest vampire?
Vlad the Impaler is the basis of the mythology of Dracula. So even in Dracula's story, Vlad the Impaler was the ruler, and then makes this covet with the devil because his beloved took her life thinking he was dead. So here we get the first vampire, Vlad, and he's a little creepy. He's a lot creepy. Consent, it's real.
Yes.
So just to let you know, consent, it's real.
Great line.
But as we see, the vampire basically uses the vampire power to get Sabrina and bites her neck.
Does not work.
Because she's a celestial, because she's half Lucifer, it basically just destroys him in some way. She does get the coins, and then of course hands them to Judas, who turns out to be Caliban in disguise.
Once
because
again,
glams.
tricking her. Yep.
Glams. The glam glasses.
We've learned that glams is the worst spell to ever exist.
They use glam as much as you possibly can.
Can I just say something about this moment real quick? So when she hands over when she's basically tricked into handing over the coins to Caliban, he says a comment that is very similar to a comment that Nick said earlier in the episode, which is basically, why did you desert your family to go on this adventure, to go on this quest? And this comment bothered me because Sabrina to me, she's put in a very difficult situation right now. She is not choosing to be away from her family because she, wants to be the queen of hell. She needs to step away from her family because in order to regain the energy, regain the power, in order to save her family and save all of Greendale, she needs to gain the power she would get if she becomes the queen of hell. And so just that comment was just, I feel like it was a sad jab towards Sabrina because she is doing this for her family, but in order to do that, she needs to be away from them right now.
Sure, you say she's put in this position. She put herself in this position. Let's not forget that or think otherwise. She's done all of these things. It's gotten to this point, and now she has to deal with the consequences of her actions. So I don't know. It's not an easy spot for a 16-year-old to be in. So I understand where it's coming from, but let's not also feel like Sabrina is not complacent in the situation she's in. A lot of it has come from all the things she keeps doing in order to fix all the things that she keeps doing. So, and undoing.
She did get herself into the situation in the first episode. However, in this moment right now, she is doing what she feels and what I, as an audience member, also feel is the best thing that she can do right now. It's just to try and find a way to get energy for the coven and to defeat the pagans so that everyone can be saved, so that she can save everyone. Because right now, they don't have the ability to defeat the pagans.
They don't have the energy or the power or the manpower or anything like that, but they do at least. Nope, they don't even have people alive. All of them been killed. Judas' silver coins, we had to count them. That was interesting. Robin is a hobgoblin. That was fun. And we have so much. All hail King Caliban. It looks like Caliban won. So it is the end of the world as you know it. Let's get into our special segment, Dark Design. This is not the Dark Design music. Ryan, this is not. I have no idea what this is. This is Pink Panther at its best. This is not dark designy. This is not dark designy music. So the dark design, let's discuss first of all Vlad the Impaler. We discussed it a little. Vlad, known as Vlad the Impaler, is often considered one of the most important rulers of the Wallachian history and a national hero of Romania. He was the second son of Vlad Dracul, hence the name Dracula, who became the ruler of Wallachia in 1436. Now, Vlad and his younger brother Radu were held hostages in the Ottoman Empire in 1442 to secure their father's loyalty. Hence their hatred of the Turks. And at that time, the Turks and the Ottoman Empire were this Muslim empire, and then Romania was trying to be the herald of the remainder of this Christian great empire. And hence when Vlad feels betrayed by God, turns to make this pact with the devil, changing him into what we think of as the oldest living vampire. Also the basis, of course, inspiration of Bram Stoker's Dracula, hence why the oldest living vampire. We also get a banshee. Now, banshees, everyone knows kind of what a banshee is, but we don't. Oh, it's that. Well, where's that noise coming from? It's killing me. Oh, it's a banshee. Banshee is a female spirit in Irish mythology, and it heralds the death of a family member. Basically, that wailing, shrieking, or keening is right before a family member is about to die, or can cause the death of the family member, depending on which mythology you look at. And you have to understand that name is connected to the important termali, or the mounds that dot the Irish countryside, which are known as side, basically, in Old Irish. And it's just interesting to understand. We get that, which is such an important part of mythology in Europe. Again, Vlad the Impaler, Banshee. And we get one from the Haitian tradition. We do get Gedula, or Gede, which is in basically the place where we went, and we called it Limbo, where basically that's where the in-between of life and death, and that came from a lot of the Haitian mythology. So we do get a lot of different types of magics and mythology all in this episode, and it's interesting to watch how they meld them together. So thank you so much for the dark design, and let's not thank Ryan for that music. Hopefully you will get the prediction music right, Ryan.
Your AfterBuzz TV predictions.
There we go.
Predictions?
Okay, so I think that the egg that we have is going to be used somehow to fix all the chaos that has happened, but I do think a character, or maybe two, will not make it out this season.
I basically said that throughout the entire episode.
Yeah, and I agree with you.
I'm going to also say that I think Blackwood is going to be the catalyst for more destruction. Not going after Blackwood or fixing the Blackwood tie-up is going to be what leads to whatever more chaos there is, or something horrific. Because we don't know what Blackwood's agenda was to begin with in the beginning. Mm-hmm. We've kind of acted like that was gone because it's so far removed. But he was going after the egg on his own for another reason. And I think that's going to be something that comes back to play in this episode. But I guess we're going to go find out. Where can people find you if you want to be found, Veronica?
You can find me, Veronica Valencia, on Twitter and Instagram at It's Me, Veronica_V.
And of course, find me at I Am Tehran, or reigning in hell as the king of hell at IAMTEHRAN. Also find me hosting and paneling on a slew of other AfterBuzz after shows, because all of your favorite TV shows are my favorite TV shows too. Until the next episode, we're getting right into it, into the nitty gritty. Hail Satan! Hail Judas!
Our founder, Keven Undergaro, and me, Maria Menounos, would like to thank you for tuning in to AfterBuzz TV. Remember, we're not just the first, we're the biggest in the world, and we're the only destination for all your favorite TV shows. Whatever you crave, we've got it. So go to AfterBuzzTV.com and check out our lineup. Buzz you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.